Hello friends, I am no stranger to instant photography. If you follow this channel, yeah, you probably already know that. And what I really like about the whole platform is that it's an unchanged experience for me from 20 or 30 years ago. I own just a whole bundle of instant photography products, from cameras to printers. And I do have to admit that I find myself these days using the digital hybrid products a lot more because I just don't waste any photos. I print only the ones that I deem that have worked out. When a new instant photography product comes around, I'm always really curious to see what a brand is going to do to advance a time-tested concept that really has little need for improvement. And yet, of course, I totally get, like I said, the digital hybrid, but where do you go from there? Enter the new FUJIFILM Mini LiPlay Plus. Now, for those of you familiar with the LiPlay camera that came out last year, I'm not that familiar with it, so this is really my first introduction into the LiPlay system. So there's gonna be some things I'm gonna cover in this video that are also on that original LiPlay camera, not just this Plus edition. There is a remarkable amount of options when choosing an Instax product. However many you think there are more than that. And it's my job, as I see it, to wade through all of that and help you figure out who the market is for this LiPlay Plus edition, and just to generally make sense of this camera. My very first impression was that this camera is really not for me, a middle-aged man. I mean, the camera comes in a purse. So if I was to guess, the demographic for this camera is young women. Though once you pull the camera out of the case, it feels much more neutral with a broader appeal. Its size and form does make it bag pocket friendly if you want to pass on the case. Though the case flap is removable if you still want to sling the camera around your shoulder. Let's start with the real story about this camera and where it takes that instant photography experience even further than your average instant photography camera. Well, to start off with, on an Instax First, it actually has two cameras, your standard back camera and now a front-facing camera like a smartphone. There's really no quality differences between the two cameras, though it shouldn't matter because instant photographs aren't hyper sharp anyways. But if you are curious, I did some digging into the metadata and spec sheets, and here are some stats that nobody asked for. We'll start with both cameras equally featuring a 1/5 inch CMOS sensor that pumps out 5 megapixel images. But the selfie camera is a little wider at 1.9 millimeters, and the main camera is a 2.4 millimeter lens. This makes an equivalent full frame lensing 14 and 28 millimeters respectively. The main camera has a maximum aperture of f2, while the front selfie camera maxes out at f2.2. With the exception of exposure compensation, the camera is all auto, but the lowest ISO is 100 and the highest is 1600. The lowest shutter speed of the camera is 1/4 of a second, and the highest shutter speed maxes out at 1/8000th. Both of these giving the camera great range in a variety of extreme lighting conditions. Having two cameras paves the way for the new layered photo mode, which makes the selfie camera the center image and the back the border. The second notable feature, which is poured over from the original LiPlay model, adds sound to your photos. If you're a little perplexed by that, well, I was too, so you're not alone. But now I get it, and it's actually a very smart feature. You have two shooting modes for recording sound. First is a sound print, and the other is a sound album. In the sound print, it records the sound for 3 seconds while taking the photo. When you print the photo, it applies a QR code on top. Once anyone scans the photo, it takes them to a webpage that displays the photo and plays the recorded audio. This file is kept on Fujifilm servers for 2 years, with an option to download it at any time before then. The other mode is a sound album. It prompts you to shoot a series of images, then you can apply background, choose music, and balance the audio between the music and the recorded sound. You choose a single photo from the group as the one to be printed out, and you choose a layout. Then, the very same thing. You scan the QR code and you get an animated album. You can also create an album with photos that you've already taken. When you think of the value of a memory, it's not just the visual. Adding sound to something is a really great way of pulling you back to that moment when that photo was taken. And another really great feature about this camera is that it's a smartphone printer, so you're not having to buy a printer and a separate camera as well. And that actually leads me into the next section, which is to talk about the in-app integration with this product. When printing from this app, either the Instax or Camera Roll photos, you have an option to add a huge range of frames and stickers, and actually even create your own images, designs, or logos, including transparent PNGs. There are a range of overlays that are offered in camera, but then you're sort of committed to that choice when you take the photo. Whereas if you just shoot a regular photo, then you can add these very same effects and like a whole ton more later. So obviously I prefer that. All this, by the way, is available in the regular LiPlay camera as well. After using this camera for a while, it is clear to me that it is a very smart design. And I think it's going to resonate with a lot of instant photography or Instax users who take a lot of selfies. Like, you no longer have to do this, you can actually see yourself, and that makes it a whole lot easier. There are, of course, some things about this camera that I was challenged by. Nothing that I would say is that big of a deal, but I feel obligated to mention anyways. While I like the aesthetics of the LiPlay Plus, I'm not a fan of the working ergonomics. The grip on this camera has never felt perfectly secure, and I find I'm using both hands when I'm taking photos. Now, not a big deal, but I would have preferred a more solid hold, especially for the front-facing photos. I found only one secure way to hold it, and it still feels a bit awkward. Maybe it's made for more delicate lady hands and not my, gorilla paws, but if you do want to rig it up somewhere, then you can access remote shooting through the app. It's a great feature, but it has two downsides. One is that the preview image quality in the app is terrible. This is a surprise to me just simply because anytime I do wireless shooting for any other Fujifilm mirrorless camera, the quality is great. I'm just simply guessing here that making the transmission quality better would have significantly boosted the price of the camera, and yes, it's probably not necessary. I also think the camera should have come with a 1/4-20 insert on the bottom, and that would allow you to use even just a small tripod, which comes in incredibly handy on uneven terrain. My Instax Wide Evo has it, and so I don't really understand why they couldn't have just simply placed one on this camera. Again, minor quibbles, nothing that's really a deal breaker, especially considering all the value that this device provides. And I think that in the end, this is a really great product for the people it's designed for, which is primarily younger women, or let's just even say sort of the artsy crowd. Oh, and before I forget, there is also a new style of Instax mini film with a soft glitter border. A fun way to bring glitter into your life without having to pick it out of your clothing for the next 10 years. And that's all I have to say about the Instax Mini LiPlay Plus. For me, for now, I'm out. Peace.